Hi dear students, you are welcome in this video. Dear students, in the previous video we talked about dialect and its variations. In this video we are going to talk about register and its variation. We are going to also understand a few topics related to register like formal register, informal register or formal communication and informal communication. So let's understand what is register, its definitions and some of the features. Before that we will understand what kind of questions may be asked on this topic. So here are a few questions that you can understand. Very first question which we are going to cover in this presentation is what is a register, which is very important. Second question is what are registral variations. Obviously we are talking about the same. Then we'll talk about what is the difference between formal and informal English. Then we'll also have register used in journalism. So this example we have taken, but we are going to talk about different types of fields in which this register is used. But for our understanding we have taken journalism. So let's start with the very definition of register. What is a register according to different types of scholars? So this definition occurred in Oxford Dictionary of Literary Terms by Chris Baldick, and Chris Baldick says that register is nothing but a type of special language used in different types of situations. Here let's understand. Here we have the quotation by Chris Baldick, and he says a term used in stylistics to refer to a variety of language used in specified kinds of social situation. Thus a formal register differs from an informal one, usually in vocabulary, pronunciation and if written punctuation. So a few things are important here. It is a variety of language, he says. Then it is used in a special kind of situation. This is also important. And again he says that the change, where do we find change? We find change in the vocabulary, then we find change in pronunciation, and if it is written then we find the change in punctuation. So these things are important while understanding the register. So it is a special or specified kind of language used in particular fields or in particular situations, and it is differed in formal and informal use. And we have the difference in vocabulary, pronunciation or punctuation. Let's understand another definition now. In the another definition we find, this definition is given by Krishnaswamy and others in the book called Modern Applied Linguistics, and here we have the quotation: a language variety marked by certain features that are typical of certain disciplines or fields or topics, occupations and social roles played by a speaker is referred to as a register. Now what is important in this definition? So it is directly said that it differs discipline wise or field wise or different topics or occupations, and a typical or certain features of this language is related to the particular field. So here we find this difference, and it is related to speaker. And this when we find this special kind of language used in special kind of sectors or fields, for example disciplines or fields or topics or occupations, we find it is the language called register. So this is the register according to Krishnaswamy and others. So it is typical or certain use of language. Then we have next definition by George Yule, and George Yule states that it is nothing but a particular language used in different types of sectors or different types of fields. So it is nothing but variation according to use in specific situations. It is studied in terms of register. So he says that there is religious register, and in religious register we have an example like ye shall be blessed by him times in times of tribulations. So this is a very particular kind of vocabulary or structure used in religion or in religious register. We find generally the people who listens the ceremonies, the language of ceremonies, the language of priest is full of religious register, and here we have an example of this register: ye shall be blessed by him in times of tribulations. Now this H is used here, capital H, so it refers to the him means God, who is him, he is God. So H is used here as capital. Then blessed, ye shall. So this type of vocabulary is used in religious register. Again, we have another example of legal register. So here we can find in another register you will encounter sentences such as the plaintiff is ready to take the witness stand. Now we have the word like witness, again we have the word like plaintiff. This type of words are used in legal register. This is an example of legal register. So you can find the difference between this religious register and legal register. In legal register we have a particular vocabulary and particular sentence structure. Again we have another example like this: the morphology of this dialect contains fewer inflectional suffixes. Now here you can very clearly understand this type of language, this type of vocabulary used in linguistics. Linguistics is the science of language, in which language is studied scientifically. So these words like morphology, then we have another word dialect, and here we have inflectional suffixes. These words, all these words are used in linguistics. Now if you look at these three examples, with these three examples we understand this register differs field wise. We have religious register, we have legal register, register used in law and courts, then we have register used in different types of branches of study like linguistics or business or law or different genres. So here this vocabulary also differs field wise or sector wise. So I hope you understand the definitions and the very meaning of register, because register is a particular kind of language, particular kind of words or vocabulary used in a particular kind of sectors, and these are the examples. Now let's understand the formal English or formal communication or formal register and informal register or informal communication. Now what are the features of this formal English or formal communication? Here we have, this is used, formal communication or formal English or formal register is used in a serious or professional context, and here we have example like academia, business, official documents, etc. This is highly professional or highly we can say that used in these kind of situations or these kind of fields. So these are the examples. Then the second important point or important feature of this formal English is it is rule driven, means the rules of grammar is strictly followed in this type of communication. Then we have vocabulary also, a very particular vocabulary is used or words are used. Then we generally find complex structures in formal English or informal communication. Now basically this English or this communication used in written communication or in written documents. So we find this communication in at a written level. Then we have we do not have any contractions, means we cannot use the words like can't, shan't or won't. We have to use full forms here in formal English or formal English. It is a feature of formal English, and we do not have any colloquialism in formal English. Now this formal English or formal communication is used while addressing people in higher positions or people we don't know. So this is very particular. When we meet another person who is higher in our rank, we use formal English or we use formal register to speak or to communicate with him or with her. And again we use this formal communication, we don't know the person or his or her rank or his or her designation. At that time we use formal communication. So this is the formal communication. I hope you got the idea of formal communication. Now let's understand informal English or informal communication. So it is more relaxed and casual or familiar situations. So this type of communication used in casual or familiar situations, and it is highly used among friends. Then we have in family or in personal letters or personal emails. So these are some of the examples where this informal communication is used. We generally find simpler sentences in informal communication. We also find contractions like can't. We can use these contractions, or we also can use colloquial language or slang also is a feature of this type of language or this type of informal communication. Now this communication is commonly used while speaking, so it is basically a spoken communication. When we communicate to other persons, we use this communication. Now it is again used with the people to whom we are well familiar or we know them very well. In those situations we use informal communication. So we have here an example, like we use informal communication while speaking to friends, or we use it in family, we use it in personal relations. So this is informal communication, and I hope you got the difference between formal and informal communication. In the same way, register also is used. Now let's understand registral variations in journalism. Here we have taken an example of the language used in journalism. There are so many fields or so many sectors, but here we will understand the journalism. Now in journalism, the conversational tone is used. If you look at the language of the news items, if you read any newspaper, you will understand very clearly they use conversational tone. So we understand that someone is making communication with us, and the same tone is retained in journalistic language. Then it is rule driven, or rules of grammar are highly followed in the language of journalism. Another feature is clarity and conciseness. Now clarity is very important, and you find clarity in the news items or news correspondence. If someone is giving the news, you find how they use very clear and concise language, so that the people or listeners or readers may understand their point or their messages. So this is another feature. Then most of the time we find the language used is in active voice. So active voice is used in the news items or in news correspondence, so that the listeners or readers understand the thing or the event or action has happened just recently, or the immediacy should be felt by the listeners or readers, and hence they use active voice. Then they use very strategically adverbs and adjectives. If you listen to a correspondence or a news item, you will understand that how they use adjectives and adverbs. They use it very strategically or very simplistically. Then they use sometimes the direct quotations to impart authenticity to their news item or their news correspondence. So this is also an important feature. Then the vocabulary used in journalism also differs from the vocabulary of other fields or other register. So these are some of the features, important features of the language or register used in journalism. Now there are so many fields, or there are so many sectors where the register is used. Here we have example of business, then we have law, then we have science. The language used in law is legal language. Then we have here business language, we have the language of science and technology, we have language of agriculture, we have a very particular register used in religion or religious register, we have again education, where a very different kind of register is used. Then we have criticism or literature. In criticism and literature, if you read it carefully, you will understand a very different language is used, a very different kind of structure, sentences are used. The language of criticism sometimes become complex. We do not understand many things expressed there in the criticism, because they use a particular register, they use a particular sentence structures. Then we have politics. In politics, the language is different. Generally we say that it is the language of politics, so they have particular register at their hand, and they express those register or vocabulary through the language of politics. So these are some of the examples of register used in different types of fields. I hope you understood all the things here we have discussed. We discussed about formal and informal register, we discussed about register, its definitions, and some of the examples. If you have any problem, any query, you can comment below in the comment section. We will understand those problems. So let's meet in the next video. Thank you very much.